Yay! So, do you want a quick and easy way of doing a Whois search from the comfort of your command line or terminal? Well, if you do, stick with me because, boom, this is what we're going to be creating today. Yay! So, the other day, right, I was in my home firewall and tracking something down, something silly. And I noticed on the dash page there's this geolocation widget that shows me, sessions that my home network is going to. And I saw my box going to somewhere where I was thinking, what the hell, right? The fook? And I always do the Whois and all that at work and at home, and I just get plumb tired of having to navigate to the web page and plop it in the information that I'm seeking for, right? And I was thinking, it would be awesome to have like a command line widget that would tickle some APIs, right? And it's cool that if you may not be too familiar with APIs, just think about APIs as a cloud somewhere, right? And all you do is poke it to get some information, right? So you poke it, say, hey, like Whois, right? And you give it like a domain or something, and it spits back the information that you want. So I was thinking, like, how cool would that be? Just something quick, easy, something to add to my tool belt to just make life a little bit easier. So I was poking around the internet, and I like rapidapi.com. I'm not saying they're the best. I'm just saying I usually find what I like or what I could use in this like central repository, right? This hub. They do require a credit card number because some of the APIs are paid. Some of the APIs are freemium and some are free. So I found, right, something I thought that could work for me. And it is Whois 40. And you can find it on like Rapid API, or just copy that URL in the title bar. And it has a hard limit, a per day hard limit, right? Which I personally will never reach. And the little toolbox that I'm building for home and at work, I'm never going to reach 5,000, right? Or the 120 requests per minute, right? So this is going to work for me. It may or may not work for you, but I think today we're just going to kind of explore APIs a bit, right? Do some awesome Python programming, and just add a couple more tools in our belt, right? So when it comes time to do the network ninja stuff, we've practiced, right? We have the tools that we need readily available, and just go boom, right? So I don't know. Let's get started, right? So as mentioned before, right, we're going to do play with Whois 40, right? And buy this pre-tech, right, people, which is like really cool. But some information that we're going to need, right? We're going to need an API key, right? And API host, right? And this is what we're going to have to do in the header. And don't worry, we'll get to that point. I'm going to thoroughly explain it. But just a couple things to look out for if you're looking for something that you want to do, or looking for something that you're going to need for where you're at. These are the bits of information that we need to play with this API on Rapid API. So I hope you're excited. I'm excited. I need this. So meet me at the Unix box, man, or excuse me, the Linux box. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So I personally like Visual Studio Code. You could use any IDE that you want. I've even seen people use Vim. So whatever is clever for you, man. It's cool. So I'm going to do a new file, and I'm going to call this whois.py, right? And I'm going to stick this in my code repository. And let's get started. So there's a couple things that we're going to need to import. And depending on your environment, you might have to do a pip install. So, don't fret if it blows up on you. 9 out of 10 times is just a package that you need to pull in. So let's start cooking with Crisco, right? So I want to pull in OS. And I think this is a good time to pause. And the reason why I want to pull in OS is because I want to make this code more portable. And so I want to create an environment variable. So my Python script will call an environment variable and get that value, right? So hold on, right? Let's kind of explore that a little bit. So I'm going to open up a terminal, and I'm going to elevate my privileges with sudo, and it is etc environment, I think. I need an editor. Nano. Let's try that. No. Oh, what did I type in wrong? Sometimes if my head wasn't attached, I'd forget it. Environment. All right, let's try that. Cool. All right. So, as touched upon just a little bit ago, I want that environment variable. And so this is my key, right? Think about it as a dictionary, right? So here's my key, API key Whois40. And as you progress and as more APIs that you use, most likely they're all going to want some type of credentials, right? A key, a token, a username, password. And this just happens to be a key. So I tried to name it something unique, and just a key value pair. So I've named it API key Whois40, right, equals. And on this Ubuntu box, right, this Linux box, I encased it in double quotes. Now, if it's pretty much letters and numbers and no spaces, you don't really need to encase it in quotes. But I encased it just to be on the safe side. So put your key in, and yes, as I said before, I'm going to delete this key. So you're going to have to get your own. I'm sorry. All right, so you put your key in, right, and you plop in the value. We're going to save it, and the best thing that I would recommend is just to do a reboot, right? Because you're going to want to load that into your environment variables. So then we can go back to the Python script and rock and roll, right? So let's get at this. We're also going to do sys, right? Because what I'm planning on doing is checking this to see if the environment variable is there. And if it's not, we're going to catch that, right? We're going to do a try, except, and catch that key error, all right? And if it's not there, I want to do something with that, right? And so part of that is it's just going to use sys exit, right, and give it an exit code. So I know the program just failed, right? And since we're playing with HTTP, right, I'm going to need what is it? Request. So you might have to do a pip install depending on your environment. And I want to play with pretty print, right? I want to take that output that we get from the API and just make it somewhat human readable. So, oh yeah. So, I also want to play with argparse, right? So if you're haven't played with it much, it's really cool, right? So this is going to really be the part of the magic sauce behind the curtain, and we're going to use argparse to help do our arguments or parameters from like the retro DOS days, right? So you do your executable, and we're going to pipe in a parameter, right, or an argument or something for the executable to, right? So argparse, and I think that's about it. So let's get on it, right? So all right, cool. We're going to create our whatchamacallit, our parser, right? And this is for argparse. So we're going to do parser equal argparse argument parser, right? And then we're going to add a command. So it's parser dot add argument, right? I said command. You knew what I meant, right? And what are we wanting this to be? We're going to call it query, and we're going to give it a help, and this is Whois query, right? So when you do like a dash H or whatever platform you're on, the help of that command, it's going to print Whois query, right? And now we need to create the parse args, right? And then I want to create some variables, and this is for the API that we're going to be using, right? And that API is HTTP, and we're going to need a URL, and it's, what is that? Whois 40 rapid API Whois, and we need a query string, and that is defined by the API, and so they're expecting Q and then a value, right? And that value is coming from the you know what? We're going to want to do this first, right? And what do I mean by do this first? Well, I want to check to see if the command coming in is Well, no. I'm thinking of something different. So okay, I'll just continue with my original thought. QUER query string. If we need to improve it, we'll improve it, right? Q colon, and we're going to do format. And I know there's many different ways of doing this. I personally like this syntax style for format. And this is where we're going to do arg. And I'm going to pluralize that. Just args, right? And what are we pulling in? Right, we're pulling in that query, right, that we defined up here. Like, how cool is that, right? And then this is the API key, right? And this is where I'm thinking we do the accept. And it's key error. And when we get here, I want to print, and I want to say, please define. Ooh, I'm going to cough. Just a second. Ooh, all right. Please define API key who is 40 environment. All right. Something like that. And this is just to say we did not complete successfully, so I'll just exit with the value of 1. And we need to actually test to see if that's there, and that's sys dot no OS environ and API key who is 40. All right. And then we need to create our headers. All right. And the first thing that we need to create is the X rapid API key. All right, and then we do the value. And I, like above, prefer this type of formatting. OS, environ. And what are we grabbing, right? Remember, we're grabbing that who is 40 environment variable. We're shoving it into this spot there, and that should be the key, right? That key that we saw in Nano. And we need another set of headers for our HTTP request. And this is host, right? And same thing here. And this will be who is 40 P rapid API com, and you get this via the web page, right? They tell you all of the bits and pieces that you need. So once we have our headers defined, let's create our request for HTTP. And I'm going to do response, create a variable, and we're going to do request, and it is a get, right? And we're going to pass in our URL, and then we need to define our headers. Our headers equals what we defined up above, headers, right? So headers equals headers, and this will be our headers. And we also need to do our query string, and that is parameters or params equal, and it is our query string. And that should be the HTTP request. All right, so down here, I want to see or test to make sure that we are still cool, right? And so I'm looking for that okay, right? That 200 message, that everything is kosher. And we'll get to that in just a second. If we're not kosher, I want to print the status code, and then print, right? Might help if I can spell. And up here, we want to kind of do a format of that content coming back, right? So, and it's going to come back in like a JSON format. So I'm going to use pretty print, and we're going to say pp print is pretty printer, right? And pp print, and what are we doing? Well, we're just going to say response, boom, right? And this is going to do a pretty good job of doing a basic format, right? At least make it readable. And I think we are golden. So I'm going to grab maybe an IP address, maybe a domain. Hang tight. I'll be right with you. All right. Okay. So I think I got something that we can use. So I'm going to open up a terminal, and I'm going to navigate to where we are. And what did we call this? We called this Whois. So let's just execute and give it something to do. What are we doing? Well, we're going to query that IP address. Cross our fingers. Yeah, it worked. Sweet. All right. So this was the Dafuk, right? So why is my box going to Poland? Well, after some investigation, some Whois queries, I figured out it was GOG, right? Cool. So we've got this really cool widget, right? This really cool Python script that we have in our belt. But I think we can improve this, right? I think we can add some electricity to this to make this like a snappy time, right? Like freaking cool. Just like pack it full of that awesome sauce. What I mean by that is we're going to use a really cool package called PyInstaller, right? What basically PyInstaller does is take your script and make it into a binary, right? Make it into an executable binary, so you don't necessarily need to have Python installed, and you can give this to your friends, making sure that they get their own API key, or maybe you give it to your coworkers and the business buys an API key. And with that environment variable, Bob's your uncle, right? So let's work with PyInstaller. And if you don't have it installed, it is a pip install away, and it's just PyInstaller, right? Or pip3, depending on what package installer you're using, right? So what we need is a script and PyInstaller. So I'm going to do PyInstaller, and I want one file. And if you look up PyInstaller on the internets, you'll get more information on the commands that I'm using. But this is just quick, simple. I just want one file, and you pass in your script. Boom. And it does its thing, right? And depending on how big your script is, it could take a minute or two. But as you can see, this is done in a couple seconds. So I'm going to list, right? And I want that dist folder. I'm going to see what's there. And look at that. Whois? So let's execute that, right? Boom. Feed it some information. How cool is that, man? I mean, this is just freaking awesome. So we created a Python script, right? And this Python script is going to go out and tickle an API, right? We're going to poke that API, right? We're going to poke it with a stick. We're going to poke you with a stick, right? And depending on how angry that API is, it may or may not get us in some information. But we know that API is going to give us what we want. So we're going to poke it with a stick, right? And it's going to give us this freaking awesome information, right? I mean, what would be the alternative? Going to a website, right? Going to like Whois and or Aaron or whatever, and or doing a Google search and trying to get the information. We've got it now. It's just in this packaged binary, right? Like, freaking how cool is that? What's really cool? Let's take this script and let's get it onto our Windows box, right? So hold, right? And I'll see you there. Awesome. Cool, man. You made it. Well, back on our Windows box, right? I'm going to open up a command prompt and navigate to the script that we created on that Ubuntu box. There it is. Whois, right? Let's open that. What do we have? That works. Come on. Do something. All right, cool. You remember this? Sweet. All right. And depending on your environment, you know, just like that Linux Ubuntu, you might have to do pip install. So let's test this, right? Python, I think I spelled it right. Whois Py, and we need something to query. So let's do that IP address. What is it? 249.151. Ha ha ha! Yeah, it worked, huh? How cool, right? So that is that the magic of OS Environ, right? And we caught that exception. So we need to do the API key for Windows. And I'm going to open up what used to be called the start menu. And what is it? Edit the system environment variables. I'm going to come down here to environment variables and do system, do the user, right? Let's do a system, right? And what did we call that? Well, didn't we call it API key Whois 40? Well, that's a good question. Well, let's look. Right? And let's see if I just can't do this real quick. What did we call it? Ah, yeah. Awesome sauce. All right, so let's go back here and just make sure that we did it correct. Boom. Okay, awesome. Okay, now we need to do that key. All right, and remember, this key will not work. All right, so you got to get your own. I'm sorry. There's only so much I can do, man. All right, we paste it in. We go okay. All right. Nice. All right, we go okay. And we got to do a reboot. So I'll see you in a bit. Oh, yeah, we're back. All right, so let's see if it took. All right, so I'm going to open up the command prompt, right? Retro. And we're just going to do an echo % API key Whois 40, right? Old English. And do a % to close it, and that should print our key. Awesome, it does. All right, so that tells me that the environment variable is working. So if we jump back to that, or go into that directory, whatever it was, if I could type code. All right, we got our script, and let's execute Python Whois py and something to query. All right, so we're doing Google. Look at that. How freaking cool is that? I mean, so we just took a Python script that was written in Ubuntu. We moved it to Windows. We defined our environment variable, right? And boom, it works. But let's play with PyInstaller, right? Let's make an exe from this script so we can, give it out, right? Give it to the junior engineers that are helping you. And when you say, when this happens, I need you to run this and give me the output, right? So let's do that. So we're in the code directory, and let's do PyInstaller, one file, and you might have to do your pip install to get PyInstaller. So I'm going to toss it in one file, and that is just a Google search away on getting more information with PyInstaller. I mean, that is almost a complete day within itself. So we got our argument. Now we need to pass in our script, and we hit enter. Cross our fingers. What do we got? Boom. Looks like it's doing the awesome sauce stuff, man. This is freaking awesome. All right. So here in just a second. No. Oh, look at that. Oh, it looks like Windows threw an error saying, no, we've got something malicious happening. Oh, that's funny. All right. So give me a second to figure out the fook. Right? All right, man. So I'm going to hit pause for a minute. All right. Welcome back. So where we left off was PyInstaller puked on Windows, right? So the pukage was because of their, oh my god, you got a security, right? You got a virus. So I added an exception. Basically, I just said, forget about it, right? Just freaking forget this freaking folder. Just let me do my goddamn job. Boom! All right, so it made an exe. Let's go to that folder real quick, man. All right, look at that. Look at that. And yeah, you can change the icon and get all snazzy. But for this, just let's keep it simple, right? Kiss. So I'm going to get into that folder, and we see our exe, Whois, and let's do Google again, right? Look at that. You see that? You, you see that awesome sauce? I mean, you see that coolness that you built. So let's just take a minute and reflect on the freaking awesome that you just did, right? So we used an API, right? We created a Python script to go out and tickle that API, right? To poke it with the stick. And we asked it, can you tell us more information about this IP or this domain using Whois, right? And then it gives us the information back, right? Boom. But we took it a step further, right? We said, well, this wasn't good enough, right? We want it to not only be for Linux, right? We want this to be for Windows, and you could do it for Mac OS too. So we made that executable, right? We made that binary, right? And how freaking cool is that? So now we can give it to our friends, right? All they have to do is get their own API key. We can give it to our help desk, our apprentices, our junior engineers. So when they're helping us, they can be more efficient. Maybe the corporate can get an API key, right? How cool is that? But just abstracting all of that, just breathe in that awesome sauce, man. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Just wanted to take a second and just show you what we can do with APIs, right? Just like, how cool is that, man? As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe. Flick that little bell. If you have any questions, comments, and or concerns, or you say, hey, dude, show me the script, right? I want your script, man. Shoot a comment, man. Be more than happy to help you, man. Until next time, enjoy.